Hello again. Welcome back to week 14 of year 2. This is day 2. We're reading a little story about Saint Paisios. He's talking about water. So, this is a story that is told actually by Saint Paisios, who was a much beloved elder in the mid to late 20th century. He fell asleep in the Lord in 1994 and was canonized as a saint in 2015. The story that he tells is a simple one, but it conveys an essential observation about human nature and how we relate to God. So, this begins with a transition. Elsewhere, he said, this is Elder Paisios, Saint Paisios, in Sinai, there is in the hermitage of Saint Episteme, where I lived, the water there was minimal. A drop ran from a rock into a cave about 20 meters away from the hermitage. I had made a cistern, and I was collecting 3 kilos of water 24 hours a day. When I went to get water, I put the can to fill and said the salutations to the Panagia. I just wet my forehead a little with my hand because that helped me. A doctor told me to do it. I took some water to drink, and I collected a little in a tin for the birds and mice of the hermitage. This water was also for washing clothes, etc. What joy, what gratitude I felt for this little water I had. Doxology, glory given to God, because I had water. When I came to Mount Athos, and stayed for a while in the skeet of Iveron, because the place is sunny there, it had a lot of water. It had an overflowing cistern, and water was running outside. Oh, I washed both my legs and my head, but I had forgotten. In Sinai, my eyes were watering with gratitude for the little water, while in the skeet I had forgotten because of the abundance of water. So then I went, and I stayed about 80 meters away, and I had a small cistern. How we get lost, how we forget with abundance. Now, if we needed a way to understand why we fast in the Orthodox Church, why this is a discipline that everyone embraces when it comes time, as we're preparing for Christmas, as we are now, as we're preparing for Pascha, for Easter, and even the shorter fasts during the summer and for the Apostles and for Panagia, or even just the regular fasts of Wednesday and Friday, or just the simple fast Sunday morning before we receive communion. All of these, what they're intended to do for us, is exactly the same as what St. Paisios did when he left the place that had all the water, the plenty of water, and went somewhere farther away with a small cistern, so he had to walk, so he had to work, so he had less, so he would remember to be grateful for what he had. We're not necessarily saying this is how we should work. We're just observing, as he just observed, this is how we do work. If we have fullness, if we have plenty, we immediately take it for granted. We believe we deserve it. We forget to thank God for it. We start looking for more. We get utterly lost in plenty when we have a little bit. When we have a little bit, we remember where it comes from. We remember to be grateful. We remember to value it, to treasure it, and we're not enslaved to it. We're free to enjoy other things, to take comfort in prayer, to rejoice in the fellowship of our brothers and sisters in Christ. We're able to see the beauties that God has given to us when we remember to have a little bit. So, or when we have a little bit, we're able to remember. So, the 2 weeks before Christmas, so starting around the 11th of December, so the end of this week, this is where the fast becomes more strict. Up to this point, fish has been allowed every day except for Wednesday and Friday. It's a very relaxed fast, as fasts go. But the last 2 weeks, we get more strict, and this is the idea. So we should remember this. We should consider this. We should take our fasting seriously and remember we are embracing a little bit of lack, a little bit of need, a little bit of poverty, so that we can treasure the gifts we have received as the gift from God, and so that we can remember the more important things in life. Incidentally, we saw on Monday, on day 1, we saw Abram leave the place where there was famine and go into Egypt where there was plenty, not because God told him to, but because he was worried he wouldn't have enough. And we see God protect his marriage, but then send him right back out again to the place where there was famine. And there he was cared for by God. So we kind of see the same sort of thing happening even with Abram. He's not supposed to spend time where there's plenty. He's not supposed to spend time in the city. He's supposed to spend time where God has sent him, where God will care for him, and where he can live in communion with God. This is the same life that we are called to as well. So, God bless you all. A Merry Christmas coming up these next couple weeks. A blessed fast, and I'll see you all for day 3.